Well, we made it. We're in Montpellier, France. We've been here since the end of October.
It has been 3 months since my last video update. It has been a busy 3 months. Well, the whole year has been busy and very distracting with everything that's been going on in the United States right now. By September, we had already decided upon Montpellier as a place to live. And so our scouting trip in September became focused on finding boarding stables for our two horses, Taylor and Topaz. Fortunately, as soon as we had arrived in Montpellier, we knew we liked the city and we would be happy living here. After scouting around for about 10 days, we found two stables that we really liked. One up in the hills above Montpellier and one down by the sea, by the Mediterranean. We chose the one by the sea because it had better pasture options and it was closer to where we would be living for our first few months. We then returned to Sacramento and took care of all the final details for getting us and our horses over to Montpellier. One of the things we like about the city itself is the car-free zones, the pedestrian-only zones. Montpellier has one of the largest pedestrian-only areas in Europe, and in fact in the world. The wonderful old historic buildings and wandering streets and alleys, which are all vibrant, all filled with shops and residences and people walking to and fro. It's a very livable environment, and when the weather's warm, all of the restaurants spill out into the streets and sidewalks, and it is an incredibly warm and inviting place. We also like the scale of the city. It is a small city, but it has all the amenities of larger cities. The buildings in core downtown are all fairly low. 6 stories is about as tall as you're going to find. There are a few taller buildings, but they are restricted in location. And there are areas that are zoned for taller buildings for people who like that. One of our highest priorities after settling in was to find a long-term place to live. Our original intent was to find a long-term place to rent. Unfortunately, the rental market in France is very competitive, and in Montpellier it's especially difficult. Landlords are also reluctant to rent to people with income sourced outside of France. Because we liked Montpellier so much, we decided to buy instead of rent. Back in September, we had taken the different tram lines to their ends, trying to find different communities where we thought we might like to live outside of the core central city. But after arriving here in late October and visiting different properties, we quickly realized where we really wanted to live was in downtown Montpellier. And so we spent about a month looking at 10 different properties and settled on one in an historic building in the old historic Old Town. It is also in the pedestrian-free zone, which will make for a better lifestyle.
And we're at the place that we are trying to buy. It's the first floor apartment, which in the US would be the second floor.
Because we have horses, we will still need a vehicle of some sort, and so we will have to rent space in a nearby parking garage, which is about a 5-minute walk from the apartment. Purchasing property in France takes a good bit longer than in the US, and so the earliest we can expect to move in will be at the end of February. Once we settle into our new place, we want to explore the region around Montpellier, as well as France and also the rest of Europe. That's one of the reasons we moved here. And of course, we also want to take the horses to trails in different parts of the country. And of course, this means we need to find a vehicle that can tow a trailer, and we have to find a small 2-horse trailer. And speaking of driving, we have a year from our arrival date of October 21st to apply for and get our French driver's licenses. Because we are from a state that does not have a reciprocal driver's license exchange agreement with France, we have a year from our arrival here to get a French driver's license. There is a theoretical test and there is a practical test. Both tests are in French only, and both tests are said to be difficult. We have resumed our French lessons, not that we got that far before we moved and suspended them while we settled in, but progress continues to be slow. And so we are somewhat anxious about taking the driving tests in French. We have other things that we need to do here still. We need to, after 3 months, register for the healthcare system. We have to begin the process before 8 months is out of renewing our visas. We also have a myriad of other details that we need to tend to with the French bureaucracy. I think I'm going to save those for a different update. And so here we are living in France, just outside of Montpellier, in the small village of Perrault. The local business owners recognize us and will speak to us, either in French, which is a limited conversation, or in English. The family that runs the boarding stable is very friendly and helpful and speak English, as do many of our fellow boarders, and they have been very friendly. So we do like living in France, even though it's only been a couple of months. I think we're going to enjoy ourselves a lot more once we have our own place and are living in downtown Montpellier. And that's the end of this update. I hope to put one of these out each month, or maybe more frequently if there's something major to discuss.